A lot of business owners make the mistake of investing only in their business. Unfortunately, a lot of service business owners get to a certain age when they try to sell their business and they can't because nobody wants to buy it. Well, if you can't sell your business and you don't have any other investments, what do? Well, in this episode, my guest has been a financial advisor for over 20 years, and she really focuses on helping small business owners put plans in place that help business owners move their business in a position where it can sell. This episode is packed full of a lot of good information for those of you who are building a business and are thinking about selling it someday. Please welcome Violetta Terpeluk. Violetta, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
So why don't you kick us off and tell us about your background?
Yes, my story started when I was born in China, and then both my parents were professors, very well educated with overseas background. And when I was in elementary school, they decided to move from mainland China to Hong Kong, where their credentials were not recognized by the British government. So they were forced into starting the business. So they started an import-export business. My dad was the business development person. My mom was the bookkeeper. So growing up, I was in that entrepreneurial environment, just listening to a lot of struggles and concerns and wins about employees, cash flow, the next piece of business. And then my dad became very ill. And he had to stop working, and my mom became his caregiver for 8 years. In 2003, he passed away. And then I took my mom under my wings. At that point, the business was not sellable at all. Both of them stopped working, and my mom didn't have long-term care. And then, of course, they spent all the money on my dad's long-term care. So at that point, as I was growing up, I just vowed to myself, there's got to be a better way to help people like my parents who are entrepreneurs and business owners to build wealth outside the business, to take care of themselves and take care of their loved ones. They paid for our education. We were debt-free, but they didn't have anything left for them. And then I graduated and I moved to the United States. I got my MBA in corporate strategy. And then I worked with a management consultant with PricewaterhouseCoopers. It didn't really feed my soul working for and with Fortune 100 companies. I really wanted to work with individuals, families, and business owners who shares a value with me. So 2002, I started being a financial planner, wealth manager, and now it's been 21 years in the industry. So our practice specializes in helping business owners build their wealth in the business and outside the business, so eventually they can accomplish their life dream, which is financial independence, and take care of their loved ones, leave a legacy, sometimes multi-generational wealth. And then we also specialize in retirement income strategies, because when the entrepreneurs retire, we want to make sure that their wealth lasts their lifetime as well as next generations.
Awesome.
So we're very passionate about what we do with business owners, entrepreneurs, and the retirees, multi-generational legacy planning.
Got it. So you're really a financial planner focused on serving small and mid-size. Do you serve mid-size business owners?
Yes, it's about $225 million. That's our range. So it will be small to the lower end of mid-size business owners.
2 to 5 million, is that it?
2 to 25 million.
25 million.
And usually that's about the value of their business as well.
Gotcha. Yep. Makes sense. A lot of small business owners, especially service businesses, if you're bringing in 25 million trying to sell the business, the acquisition value, we'll get into that in a moment here,
yes,
what you can sell a business for. So I was doing a little homework about you, and you're really good about exiting, about selling businesses, about that process. So a lot of our conversation will be focused on that area. So what are 5 pitfalls that business owners can avoid when planning an exit?
Absolutely. If they don't avoid this pitfall, sometimes the exit is just a dream and they may never be realized, right? So the first pitfall that I see is business owners treat business exit as a one-time event, and they feel that they can 100% control the event. So they would say, I'm going to exit in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Therefore, right now, I don't need to do anything, right? versus we think that I'm a certified exit planning advisor. And then also I went through the value builder certification program as well. We believe that business exit is a process. Through this process, you want to extract the value from the business over time to build your personal wealth as well. So that's one pitfall. It's not, they think it's an event. Second pitfall is that they only consider planned or voluntary exit. Right. I also practice behavioral finance. Right. There is this overconfidence and then the sense of control. The business owner think that they can control everything in their business, and that it's only planned. Well, I would say many of the exits are unplanned by what we call 5Ds: the death, disability, divorce, distress, or disagreement. Therefore, they need to prepare for the exit anytime, because unplanned or involuntary exit, I call horizontal exit versus vertical exit, can happen anytime. Therefore, you want to make sure that you have the personal wealth. Should you become ill, should you go through divorce, that you have some personal wealth to rely on. The third pitfall is they just procrastinate. They usually say, I'm going to kick the ball down the road first, because it's planned. I think I can control it. So I'm not going to start planning until 1 to 2 years before that. However, in SEPA, exit planning, we believe that exit strategy is good business strategy. When you have a mindset of always be prepared to exit, you will make good and even better business decisions. So therefore, we advocate asking yourself, exit or grow every 90 days. And then the fourth pitfall is that business owners, entrepreneurs believe that business exit is purely a business decision. When we're working with small to lower, mid-sized business, it's never a pure business decision. Your personal wealth is tied up in the business. And many times the family members are also working in the business as well. And your health insurance attached to business, many owners will use business to pay for their personal vacation, all those meals and entertainment, right? So it's never a pure business decision. Therefore, you have to start with the personal financial life plan. You have to know why you're in the business, how your business can serve you, and you have an end goal from the business, because your business is just one facet of your life. We have a mantra: life first, business second. You have the life plan and then see how the business fit in, because at one point you will not have the business, but I'm sure you will still have your life and have your family, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you do to build the personal side of wealth when you no longer have the business to run the cash flow through to reimburse yourself for all the car leases and all those things, right? And then the fifth pitfall is that business owners don't have a good professional team. I would be amazed, you'll be amazed at how many businesses on the outside are very successful. But then when you ask them, do you have a good tax advisor? Do you have a good legal advisor? Do you have a good investment, insurance advisor? Do you have a financial planner? Many times they don't, because they are self-reliant. They think they can figure everything out, right? So it's the smart business owners would know who to outsource or rely on for advice. And we advocate that they should really put together a core team. And then when the transition happens, they may even need to bring in more professionals, such as investment bankers or business brokers, process consultants, to help them go through the transition. So those are the 5 pitfalls that I see.
Gotcha. I love it. Thanks for breaking this down in this framework. Let's go back to, this is something I've never heard before, which is horizontal versus vertical. Is a planned exit, is that horizontal or vertical?
Vertical. That means you walk out a door, which can be sometimes bad, because sometimes people, a business owner, just, I'm going to work until I die, or before I die, and then I walk out a door. Horizontal means that you're ill or you're dead, maybe at that point.
I get it. I'm thinking of I'm so used to like going vertical or going horizontal in business terms. Like vertical, for example, the phrase "there's riches and niches." You want to stay within your niche, don't deep, right? Okay, so you're referring to vertical. You're upright. You're walking. Horizontal. You're on your deathbed. Ouch. That's harsh.
Yeah. I can give you, Sean, some statistics. This is a little dated, but the exit planning Institute right now is updating their state of the owner's readiness study. This is a little dated data, right? But it's still, you can still get a glimpse of it, how ill-prepared business owners are. They said 50% of business owners are over the age of 55. Most of them will need to exit in the next 3 to 10 years. 76% plan to use the business as the primary source of retirement, which is a problem to begin with.
Yes.
Like, why? Why didn't you build your wealth outside? Why 76% rely on the business, right? But then, 99% owners agree that having a transition strategy important. However, only 20% have a plan in place. Even worse, only 6% have what we call a life after plan, meaning who you are and what life you're going to live after you no longer have the business. Only 6%. So you just see how ill prepared business owners are.
You said 6% are prepared.
Yeah, even have a life plan. We call life after plan, or what we call the third act. Meaning you have the before business act, and then you have the owning the business act. And what is the third act? Meaning when you no longer own the business, only 6% know how to live their life without the business.
Wow, 6%. Wow, that's unbelievable. Here's a question for you, and I'll kind of give a little context. I've talked to several business owners kind of in my network through the years that have a service business, and they were in that exact mindset you described, as they did not put any money in the stock market, nothing in real estate, no other investments, and it's all in the business. The problem is they have a service business that is very difficult to sell. Well, let's say somebody's at 55 years old, they want to retire at 60, 65, somewhere in there. What do you tell them in that situation?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I would tell them to diversify, right? When you have a service business, like mine is like a service business too, right? So you are the business. Let's say they're your CPA, or you have a professional practice, whether you're dentists or physicians, right? You are almost the business. I think number one is that you have to have a mindset shift to treat your business truly like a business. To build something, we have this process to actually convert your service into a process. It's a repeatable process, systematized process, so that when the buyer comes in, they're buying the process, right? So that they're buying the system. And then when they come in, they can still run that business profitably. That's number one. Number two is that you have to start building your team. You have to grow your leadership, your successor, so that you will no longer become the sole rainmaker, the service provider yourself. In fact, I would arguably say if you are the only one, it's not a business, right? But more importantly, the third point is that you must start building your wealth outside the business, just in case you didn't bother, or some people actually don't like hiring people, or they don't like building a system, right? So if you know you don't, that means the minute you die or you become ill, your business is going to vanish. Then you really have the mindset to start extracting the value from your business, whether it's from your cash flow, whether it's building a retirement plan, to start investing outside your business. So one day, either your business is sellable or not. I said that it's not sellable. You still have already built the wealth outside that you can walk and say, you know what, I can retire and I can rely on what I have built outside my business. So I would no longer have to rely on the cash flow from my business. I can still, have passive income here to live on. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's what we talked a little bit about this offline, is with Ticker, you can use it to invest in the stock market. We're all about individual stocks here at Ticker, especially in wealth building mode. And then as you near retirement, we do kind of say, hey, move towards ETFs, those bundled product stocks. You're going to be a little more resilient to when the market goes down. Won't go down as far. I talk to people in my network too, like, don't just go all in on your service business or any business that with that in mind. But try to diversify a little bit. I'm looking here at what is one of the biggest regrets that you've seen with business owners after they exit.
Yeah, so we've done the research again by Exit Plan Institute that 75% of owners actually regret 1 year after they exit. Only 5% were happy with proceeds. And there are multiple reasons, and I can summarize it into
Yeah,
four.
please do.
Yeah. So the first reason is they don't have a clear vision after exiting a business. Like I mentioned, Sean, before, only 6% have a life after plan. So a lot of times when they exited a business, whether horizontally, what I say horizontally or vertically, they go like, so who am I now without the business? And how do I live my life? Because I never had hobbies or volunteer work outside. I don't have any interest outside the business. I'm feeling very empty without the business, right? So that's number one, is that I didn't have a very clear life vision. I would arguably say that in order for you to stay in the business and grow your business, you actually need that life vision, because that's your why. That's the why for you to get in the business. Don't forget about have a beginner's mind, and keep reminding yourself, this is the reason I'm in business, to take care of myself, take care of my family, to contribute to the community, right? To make the world a better place, right? So that's number one, is not having a clear life plan. Second is that they were not aware of and did not fully evaluate all their options. Very often you tell a business owner, particularly service providers, they don't think about exit. They just say, okay, I'm just going to work until I die. Or if somebody comes along as my associate, I'll train my associate, and then maybe I'll clone myself, right? Maybe I will, have some clients that they take care of. But they never thought about building a business that is sellable so that they can have multiple options, right? They could merge into another practice, into another business, for example, and they can grow their own successor. Yes. In fact, for some business, even service business, that they can't sell. They can group together, merge together, and they can sell to a private equity firm, or they can sell to another service provider whose values align with them. So that's another reason why people regret, is that they, after they exited, they go like, wow, I could have sold my business this way, and 2x my proceed, but they never planned, right? So the third reason business owners regret is they are too attached to the business. Earlier I mentioned financially they're very attached because they run their personal expenses through the business. They've become used to driving a company car, spending company's money on vacation, even kids' education, all those things, right? Second is they're emotionally attached to the business. I actually have a client who is so attached. After he sold his construction company, he went next door to his old company. He rented an office. And then he would keep the commute every day just next door to run his soccer team. That's so attached he was. That's my new business now, even though it's nonprofit. And then the fourth regret is the owner is unhappy how their employees or customers, clients, suppliers are treated by the new buyer, if they even had a buyer, right? That's related to lack of planning, lack of evaluating the options. So if you just wait until you're ill and sick, you walk out the door, you really don't have the option. Like whoever would take over your practice, or maybe your practice doesn't even exist, and your client will have to be, distributed, I don't know, to other service providers, right? And then the employees will have to be laid off, so they're unhappy. So all of these are related to caused by just lack of planning and lack of proactive mind.
Yeah, this goes back to those of you that are in business and been working in business a while. The phrase, you should move from working in your business to working on your business. When you work on your business, that's when you're putting those systems, those processes in place, make it repeatable. That's when you can create, or you move to a position where you create something that is sellable. If you're working in it, then people aren't going to buy you. They can't buy you. You're a human. They want to buy your business. You have to put those processes in place. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like you guys, teach them how to invest in stocks or ETFs. By definition, if you invest in a publicly listed stock, you are a passive owner, right? So just by that habit of investing in someone else's business, you will start adopting that mindset of, oh, I can invest in that. That is a business, but I know I don't run it. So over time, you will have that mindset that, yeah, I could be a passive owner of something else that I'm not part of, and I can still make money from it, right?
Yeah, that's good. This podcast episode is sponsored by Ticker. Ticker is a platform that helps you manage your own investments with confidence. Check this out. Let's search for Apple. You can see Apple is on sale. That's looking good. Score is 61 out of 100 and margin of safety is 75%. Higher the score, the safer the investment, and the higher the margin of safety, the higher potential returns you can make. In this case, you can see the share price is 175 as of the recording of this video, and the upside potential, the fair value, is 398. All right, let's look at a different stock. We'll go to GameStop. In this case, GameStop is overpriced. Scores 39 out of 100. That's not looking too good. And the margin of safety is 0%. Here's some other features within. You can create your own custom dashboard. I like to set up and take a look at the top gainers and losers in the last 24 hours. I also like to take a look at the top search stocks, but you can really customize the dashboard to whatever you want. We have stocks, ETFs, crypto. This is a big one. We have a watch list tool that allows you to add stocks to the watch list. And if anything changes, such as that score or margin of safety, you automatically get notified. I call it the set it and forget it feature. And then we have portfolio trackers and alerts. So if you're looking for strong stocks, want to avoid bad stocks, and learn how to invest, I invite you to join Ticker for free. Here's one. This relates to how to stay exited. You've probably seen this story more than me, but I've heard of these situations where you have a parent who is now handing off the business to a child. Mm-hmm. And it's just this handshake agreement that the child now, let's say they're in their 30s or 40s, they get to run the business. Well, so they thought, because the parent is now helicopter parent over the business, even though the handshake agreement was made in place that you are out of the business, I'm running the business now. How do you navigate those conversations? Because there's so many emotions, yes, so many feelings involved to get the parent to separate and let the child take over and run it.
Yeah. Sean, I would actually take a step back to even question if your child is the appropriate successor to begin with.
Okay.
I think a lot of parents want to pass a business to their child. Number one, they think that they're keeping the wealth inside the business. And again, it's a lack of mentality or knowledge about, hey, I can own something else. I don't, this is not my business, right? It can be run by someone else. And second, it relates to one of the regrets is that they were not aware of their options and they didn't fully evaluate their options, right? So they just think, oh, it's whoever is the most convenient successor, which is my child, right? So let's say that you did the evaluation, that you think that your child is the appropriate person, and then your child is actually interested and capable. Sometimes they're being forced into that. They may not want this business. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you see, there is a movie, I think it's What a Wonderful Life or something like that, that the guy inherited this mortgage business from the family. He was a little bit resentful, like, how come my brother can go and do whatever I want and I have to be, because I'm a bigger brother, right? So let's say that you did that and your child is the appropriate successor. It's still that you have to formal. Like, first of all, do you even know? I keep telling my client, if you're passing the business to your child, number one, have you done your personal life plan to know that how much you need in order to stay retired, right? So let's say that you need a certain number, I believe it's $5 million, $10 million. Have you saved that first? Outside the business, okay? Right. So that you can actually, so if you haven't, understanding that passing this business to your child is a gift, unless you ask them to pay you over time. If they pay you over time, do you have a valuation, right? Otherwise, how are you going to retire without having the outside asset, right? Yeah. So let's say that you did build that over time, and there is still the question about the emotional attachment. I have seen many parents, they would keep showing up. They just would not let go of the control. They can't let go of the control. And in the end, the child said, wow, am I the boss or not? Right? Are you still the helicopter parents? Am I the president or not? So there is that dynamic. But I think all in all, it does relate to lack of planning. If you have saved enough money outside, you no longer have to rely on the business. I would assume a lot of business owners would say, yeah, I'm going to go on a cruise. I'm going to go and pursue my hobbies. I don't need to show up here, right? Second, if you have already built a life after plan, you know you want to volunteer, you want to do other things, other hobbies, interests, then you no longer have to come back to the business, right? And then you have the valuation, you have a conversation with your child and say, either you pay me or I'm gifting you this business. And there's another issue about if you have multiple children, which one? Like, how are you going to be fair with the other children who are not in the business? So to multitude, my biggest advice is, take a step back, evaluate all your options before you have chosen to even go down the path of passing down your business to your child.
That's a good call. That parent really has to assess, like, is my kid the right person to take over the company? That can be a tough conversation, because maybe part of the child is like, well, I kind of want to. I can't need you in the kinda category. I need you all in. That's where I would go if I was the parent. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever run into this circumstance? Because I've heard a few people do this where they can't sell their business. Nobody wants to buy it. So they create like a payout plan over years. I had somebody who was an accountant, and he gave me this scenario. He's like, I spent my entire life, 30 years, building up a company. It got to $1 million in revenue, and the most I could sell it for was $1 million. He's like, that's the most. So he's like, instead of selling it or trying to sell it, he said, I went from 5 days a week to 2 days a week, but still took a full-time salary the agreement was over the next, 10 years or so. And that way he's like, he's kind of in it, but he gets his freedom where he can go like travel a little bit with his wife and play more golf. Have you kind of talked to your clients about that scenario?
Yeah, it's very common for service providers, whether it's a CPA or dentist or physician or attorney, right? So they want to scale back, but then yet they want the business to provide. And again, it's because lack of wealth outside the business. Let's say that they have built the wealth. And why would they still want the business to provide cash flow? Just because they didn't build a portfolio outside the business. So they're still relying. That's the number one problem to solve first. Have outside assets so you don't have to rely on them. So let's say that you didn't build it and you have to rely on it. If I was a successor, I would question, like, why am I paying you? Like, I could run this business myself, right? Why am I paying you this? I see this a lot of tension between a child and the parent. The child works really, really hard, and then they have to pay the parent the salary. And, because they have to rely on it because that's their retirement, right? Yeah, I do see that a lot. And honestly, my advice, I still go back to build your wealth outside so you're no longer relying on this. Second, build your business truly sellable so that you can have a value attached to the business. And then if your payout is part of the valuation, great. But let the seller and buyer agree on that value. Is it worth $1 million? If $1 million, I pay you $200,000 for 5 years, and at the end of 5 years, I'm done, right? But you have to agree on that valuation. There's a science behind this valuation first.
I like that strategy a lot. Like, if you're out, I want you out. You built your wealth. Go do your thing. Go have fun. Yeah. I'm driving the ship. I don't want you part-timing this.
Right. Yeah. And then client retention too. If you keep showing up, and one day you disappear, and then the client goes like, okay, so who's my new CPA here?
Yes.
You have to really, really say, hey, here's your successor. You're going to start working with, the CPA now.
Yeah. That's good. All right. I want to jump to the rapid fire round here. But first, what is one really good key takeaway you can give our audience on their process right now of building their business and kind of driving towards an exit at some point?
Number one step is really having a life plan. Personal. I am a strong believer. I'm Chinese. I'm a strong believer that everything starts with personal first. Personal first. Family next, business next, and then the community. You have that rippling effect outside. I call it inside out, right? Really look inside yourself. What do I want for my life? Then you put the business in that context. When you look at the business first, you forget about the personal. I rarely see people feel fulfilled. They feel like they're controlled by the business. That would be my one piece is look at why you're in business. What do you want as a human on earth, how to live the rest of your life being fulfilled. That first. Yeah.
Great advice. I love it. Thank you. All right, let's jump to the rapid fire round. This is the part of the episode where we get to find out who Violetta really is. If you can, try to answer each question in 15 seconds or less. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What is your favorite podcast?
I'm a nerd in financial planning, so I do listen to Michael Kitt's podcast. It's all about financial planning, how to be a better financial planner.
Awesome. All right. What is a recent book you read and would recommend?
Dan Sullivan's Who Not How.
Yes.
That ties into having a professional team, knowing, what you can do and cannot do, and delegate to someone else.
I'm actually reading it as we speak. Great book. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's a fun one. This is a movie question. What's your favorite movie or TV show or something you've watched recently and would recommend?
The Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
It is, they're shooting season 4 right now. I just find that whether you read the Bible or not, there's just so many lessons you can learn from Jesus. How he conducts his life, how he teaches, the way he teaches is amazing.
Yeah, I heard it's well rated. I haven't watched it, but yeah, thanks for the heads up. All right, a few business related questions. What is the worst advice you ever received?
I think the worst advice for my business is just hiring. Whenever you have a problem, look for the next employee and then expand. And to the point that your business becomes unprofitable because you just have too big a payroll.
Yes. Great point. All right, flip that equation. What is the best advice you ever received?
Best advice is shrink before you expand. You have to look inside and clear your systems and then make sure that it's run really lean and mean. You could run lean and mean before you start expanding. Otherwise, you're expanding your problems.
Yes.
Clean up your problem first. Yeah.
I love that. Great advice. Thank you. All right. And last question here is a time machine question. If you could go back in time to give your younger self advice, what age would you visit and what would you say?
Absolutely find out my genius, my strengths, and be true to my strengths and weaknesses. Don't focus on fixing my weakness. That actually tied to who, not how. Is focus on my unique ability and then expand on that, because that's how we can even magnify our contribution to the world, by focusing on our unique gift and strengths.
Nice. All right. And where can the audience reach you? They
can find me on LinkedIn. I'm probably the only Violetta Terpeluk on LinkedIn. And my, in fact, you just type in my name, Violetta Terpeluk, you will find my website as well. My email is the same, Violetta Terpeluk, except in the middle there is an S, and then at ampf.com. Yeah. I would say LinkedIn is probably the best way.
LinkedIn, perfect. Nice. Your website. Is it still Indigo Flow Financial Group?
Yes.
That's it. All right.
Or Violetta Terpeluk too. Yeah.
Got it. All right. We'll have the links all down below. But thank you so much for your time. I love this episode.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you.
Yep. Thank you.